Ann Stewart here, Stewart Group Real Estate of EXP, and today we're talking about cash buyers. Is cash always king? We hear that verbiage a lot in real estate. Well, maybe it is and maybe it isn't, but let's break it down because I think a lot of times there is this, if you have cash, you can get whatever price you want and you can buy whatever you want. The first two reasons you'd want to consider cash is if you're a home seller and you've been sitting on the market a while. Maybe a cash buyer shows up, they can cash you out quickly. You don't have to worry about appraisal timelines. Oftentimes sellers are a little bit more willing to negotiate on terms because it's a cash buyer. They don't have to worry about the financing contingency, which most people don't know this, but the financing contingency in the state of Oregon goes all of the way to closing. So if the buyer were to lose their job right before closing or something changed in their financial picture, whether it's their fault or not, they can back out of the deal and keep their earnest money, and you're sort of just stuck having that much time off market. So just know that financing contingency really does matter. We always think about the home inspection contingency, but the financing contingency really does. So it's a sure thing if you have a cash buyer, whereas life happens, things can, happen to a buyer and all of a sudden they may not be able to qualify for the loan. So for a lot of people, it's a peace of mind thing. Number two is, let's say you're in a multiple offer situation on your house. You have a lot of interest on the property and in comes a cash buyer. Let's say the price goes up. Well, if you had to choose a cash buyer over a financing buyer, and the financing buyer has to do an appraisal and go through underwriting, and the cash buyer doesn't have any of that, you may be more open to considering a cash buyer because, well, they don't have to worry about appraisal. And in the last few years, we've had a lot of, concerns around houses appraising at the values people are writing offers on. Again, it can be a quick close. It can be a pretty seamless process. You don't have to worry about that financing contingency. Number three, where you may not want to consider a cash buyer is, let's say you're fresh on market. Typically in our market where a house is brand new on market, and let's say it's dialed in and we're getting a lot of interest on the property, and you might even think that it's going to maybe get multiple offers or maybe more than one party interested, and in comes a cash offer. And this offer is lowball, meaning they did not come anywhere close to your asking price. And sometimes cash buyers have an attitude that because they're cash, they can come in and you'll love it because they're all cash, and yet they're hoping you're willing to take less than what you're listed for. That's not necessarily a good situation. Oftentimes we sort of counter those offers or they go away because they're really looking for more of a deal than a house. Not always, but sometimes. And cash is not always going to get you a lower price. If a house is dialed in, priced right, great location, and there's a lot of interest in the home, as a home seller, you don't have to go for a lowball offer. So those are things to consider when it comes to cash. Yes, we do like cash. That does make it a lot easier. But in all cases, as I always say, it's case by case. So if you have any questions, hit us up.